All right, we're live. GM, everybody. Welcome to what's going to be another great DevNTell. So if you didn't know, DevNTell is a 30-minute window for builders to showcase something they're passionate about or been working on in Web3. It's going to be an awesome project you've been working on, demonstrating and testing best practices, automation goodies, smart contracts, how to structure a project, etc. Basically, if you got a passion for something, this is your opportunity to share it with the Web3 community here at Developer DAO. And today, I'm ecstatic to have on Oak, who's the co-founder of Valory. Unfortunately, David, who was supposed to be originally coming on, was unable to make it, but he subbed in his awesome co-founder who also was traveling. So Oak, welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time of coming on here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. I guess before we get into the meat of the content, did you want to give a brief introduction about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So as you mentioned, I am the CPO of Valory. Valory has, as we'll be talking about today, this vision of co-owned AI, the ability for groups, small, medium, even nation-state level groups to collectively own and control AI systems and other autonomous systems. Yeah, I oversee product at the company, and our kind of biggest kind of thing we've delivered to date is Olas Network, which I will also talk a lot about today. But in essence, Olas seeks to bring an ocean of autonomous services powered by crypto to the world, and is a very good way towards doing that. But yeah, as I say, can go into lots more detail about both co-owned AI and Olas over the next 30 minutes.
Awesome. I love seeing AI and crypto come together. Yeah, let's get right into the content.
Great. Okay, so I'll just share my screen.
Sure thing.
Okay, so starting up front with a little intro to what we'll be talking about. Co-owned AI, as it says in the name, is really all about, as I mentioned before as well, the ability for groups to collectively own and operate AI and other autonomous systems. So a bit of context here. As we enter 2023, I think there are some major problems in the world emerging. This one here on the screen relates to demographics, but many other issues are arising in the biggest economies in the world around brain drain and massive debt exceeding output. And I think as these powerful new AI models, as we've seen with the likes of ChatGPT and what OpenAI has been created, AI has become this sort of shining light at the end of the tunnel as a possible solution to some of these problems. But I think I think there is a very real and good chance that these new AI solutions do create some solutions to these problems. But myself, my co-founders, and our team fear quite sincerely that we will, as we solve them, move out of the frying pan and into the fire. Because as AI solves these problems, it puts an incredible amount of power into the hands of a relatively small number of individuals and the governments that they're working with. So specifically, people may have seen recently that major AI sort of representatives met in Bletchley Park in order to discuss between themselves, but also with kind of major national powers, how exactly some of these problems, how this is going to shape up. And I think whilst it's meant in good, it's supposed to be a positive thing. Basically, I think it also points towards a picture emerging before long, where these very, very small groups of individuals have an enormous amount of power. So I think that, as you know, you can imagine, not many years down the line, that the individuals at the heads of these AI corporations will have an enormous amount of power and the very sort of tangible ability for individuals around the world to express themselves, to have a say over these AI systems will be severely limited. And so we come back to this idea of co-owned AI, which, as I mentioned earlier, but I think it is the ideal that we should be working towards, which is a much more direct form of ownership and control over AI and autonomous systems. So rather than, you know, a very indirect route where somehow we're able to inform the likes of Sam Altman that we don't think he's going in the right direction with the power he exerts over AI systems, we believe that there should be a very, very much more concrete and direct path for everybody in the world to be able to cast their vote over how these systems are used. And so at Valory, one of the main things that we have been building in order to bring this to life is the Olas Protocol and the Olas stack, which is in essence directly combating this challenge and making it possible for individuals and groups to come together, create new decentralized autonomous systems, and own them collectively. So this is a description here. It was a technical crowd, I believe. So this is a high-level technical kind of diagram of how one of these systems on the Olas stack is built. So in the middle here, you can see that this is an autonomous service, as we call them, running off-chain. It's operated by separate individuals, separate entities, each running a separate agent, which composes the overall service. It runs, even though it actually requires a consensus mechanism to have robustness, it actually runs off-chain and therefore continuously, which means that it what basically has the robustness of something running on-chain with all of the power of a traditional web server. There's lots more to go into on this. That's just touching on it, and I think we can come back to it briefly. But what I want to talk about is next is just sort of give you an indication of how this is actually playing out. So since launching on Gnosis chain, we've launched a prediction agent, a prediction service on Gnosis chain recently, and it's composed of multiple agents running on the stack, as I just showed. And it's actually, I realize now that I see this number is actually wrong. It should be more than 50% of safe transactions in recent months on Gnosis chain have come from AI agents operating on the Olas stack. So it's I think one that's kind of evidence that it's possible to be, well, it shows AI running natively within crypto for one thing, but it shows also that that it is possible to collaboratively own these things and have them run in a way that is co-owned. So I think the next thing which I really wanted to get across to the audience is that this is, not something that is, it is something which is very accessible to anybody with a even slightly a technical background. So this trader Quickstart, which I will drop into the chat momentarily, is a quick start for running your own AI agent. Not just running it, but actually minting it on chain via the Olas Protocol. So in order to get one of these running, it's extremely simple. You come to the repo, make sure that you have the system requirements, get some basic other resource requirements in place, namely you need a tiny bit of XDAI on Gnosis chain. You need an RPC, of which there is a very generous one in QuickNode. And then you simply run a script locally after you've cloned the repo. And at that point, you will have your own AI agent, which is owned on-chain, i.e. you have full on-chain ownership over your AI agent, and it will be participating collaboratively in a service which makes predictions for a kind of overarching service. Happy to talk a little bit more about like what that overarching service does and looks like, but I think what I really wanted to emphasize was just how sort of tangible and practical this is already for people to get involved with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop that into the chat. I don't know.
I dropped it. I dropped it already.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. Nice. Thanks very much. Okay, so that was the kind of the crux of what I wanted to go through, but I think we've got a little bit more time, so I can go through a lot in sort of more detail about autonomous agents in general, but also specifically running on the Olas stack, and talk more broadly about CoOwned AI. But I think maybe I'll just pause briefly and see if there are any questions about what I've mentioned so far before we go on.
Yeah, crowd, if you have any questions, please drop them in the comments and I will ask on your behalf.
Okay.
None so far, so we can keep going and then I'll let you know if there's something that comes up.
Cool. All right, so let's go through and just have a primer on autonomous agents. I feel like over the past year or so, there's been a kind of a real kind of uprising of interest in agents and autonomous agents, fueled, I think, in large part by the new models that have been put together by OpenAI. But I think that the definitions which often emerge around agents are pretty loose, shall we say? I mean, sometimes people will refer to just a model as an agent, or an assistant, like something which you directly interact with via chat. And the reality is that we think that the term should be held to a kind of a higher standard. An agent is really something which you can drop into an environment, and it can autonomously, one, perceive what is going on in its environment, come to its own conclusions, and then take action without any external input or dependencies. Generally speaking, that will be, that they'll be operating towards some sort of objective function. They'll have a goal that they're moving towards, and so that's kind of in stark contrast to something like an assistant, which is sort of, when you're chatting with a chatbot assistant, really that's just you're still the agent. It's just kind of increasing your capacity. So we think that, and one of the things which really caused us to, or sort of triggered us to work on Valory and Olas when we did, was two massive unlocks. One was smart contract blockchains, of course. Smart contract blockchains give agents the ability to transact, either to do things like consume AI services, or even eventually before long, actually, we think, interact with one another in order to achieve their goals and deliver higher order services. The other thing, obviously more recent, is LLMs, although we were kind of, when we started Valory, aware of this direction and the capabilities here emerging. And as it says here, LLMs really have generated the ability for AI agents to sort of think for themselves in a way that was really never before possible. So the combination of these two things has unlocked a level of autonomy in agents that was previously just not possible. One of the things that despite those two sort of massive unlocks, we felt was still missing was the ability to run software, these software services which are required for AI agents in a way that was truly autonomous in itself, i.e., crypto native in the sense of like being able to interact with blockchains, but also in the sense that they can be owned and controlled on chain. Two, although there is, although AI models currently have a lot of intelligence baked in, if you're trying to interact with them in a decentralized way, it's really not possible if you're trying to do that on chain because of the limitations of compute on chain. And then finally, we felt the need for a new a technology stack that was far more flexible than what is out there possible kind of currently as well. There are a lot of decentralized off-chain computation services in existence in crypto today, but they're generally not very flexible. I'm referring to sort of automation solutions and Oracle solutions, which are very limited in their scope, and therefore you can't just kind of drop some code to run an AI agent onto them. And so all in all, that's what we really sought to solve with our stack and with our protocol. So we come to the initial diagram, which I showed, which sort of indicates how one of these AI agent services or any other service which you want to build with Olas is structured. This is what we see at Valory as the path to CoOwned AI. In 2023, as we said, like there are obviously incredible tools emerging. I worry about the future of some of these companies and the power that they can kind of garner, but they today are releasing, they're doing incredible work. So that really forms the basis, the actual tools that are available. The next layer, naturally, and you saw this earlier in the week in terms of what OpenAI is moving towards as well, is for agents to be built on top of these basically LLMs and other sources of AI capabilities. So we've got things like LangChain, got things like Fetch AI, OpenAI. These are all tools which are available for people today to build single agent systems. Olas, as I said previously, is the next stage in this evolution, we feel, which enables people not just to run relatively simple autonomous agents, which maybe perform one or a narrow set of tasks on behalf of one individual, but Olas provides the ability to create much more sophisticated and complex autonomous and AI systems, which are composed of individual agents below them. And all of this is on the path to CoOwned AI, which in terms of the level of AI sophistication and the degree to which they are owned by groups, is what sets this as the holy grail that we're moving towards. So there's a bunch more to go through here, and I am very happy to continue. But we're coming up on the time where we would move to Q&A. So in the interest of hearing what audience members are mostly curious to talk about, I'll see if there are any more questions or any questions.
Yeah, for sure. So we do have a question from Alejandro asking, what are these more than 50% of transactions doing? And I think he's referring to the Gnosis chain slide that you referred to early on. And are all for the prediction market? Can you elaborate further on current instances of CoOwned AI?
Yes. Okay, so the first question was around the services on the transactions on Gnosis chain. We have a query somewhere, but anyway, this will do. Basically, in collaboration with Gnosis, maybe I'll switch over to the hackathon site actually. So we, in collaboration with Gnosis, we put on a hackathon recently, which had the intention of building an autonomously delivered set of prediction servers. And so a bit of context, I mean, I suspect people in the audience will be familiar with Gnosis. Gnosis started as a prediction market project. And I think one of the biggest issues or biggest constraints that they came across was that delivering reliable predictions requires a lot of kind of quite manual research and input from individual people, humans. Even if you use bots to kind of help automate some of the process, it's very time consuming and expensive. And so so my co-founder David met Martin, one of the co-founders of Gnosis, in Zuzalu earlier in the year, and they kind of together came up with the question: what if, rather than using humans to deliver predictions in prediction markets, we combine the power of AI agents with these new LLMs to actually deliver participation in prediction markets directly. And so what we actually ended up building was this sort of set of agents and services, which this is what was what I was referring to here. And these agents basically, when you run them, will look at prediction markets on Kleros, research, basically see the question, pull that down, and research it sort of fully autonomously. So it'll actually use a set of tools which we have on our AI marketplace to research the question, come up with a set of probabilities and kind of confidence levels around what the agent thinks the answer is, and then actually kind of bid and participate in the prediction market directly. So what you're seeing with that number around an extremely high number of a high proportion, the majority of transactions happening via safes on Gnosis chain, is these prediction agents actually one, making transactions on chain in order to consume AI models directly, and two, sort of participating in prediction markets, and they're doing a bunch of other stuff as well, but that's kind of the crux of it. So yeah, that's so yeah, actually just to kind of round that off, we're still even though this hackathon is over, we are still running these agents, or people in the community are running these agents, and the prediction and then the sort of prediction service, it continues to kind of make predictions. And so that's why I showed this Quickstart here. And there's actually, just add a little bit more to that. There's actually a staking program going on. So if you're interested to kind of participate in staking Olas, receiving rewards, et cetera, then as you kind of get more familiar with the script, you can actually get involved with that as well. So your second question was around, it was around which co-owned AI systems we already have in operation. I actually think that what I was talking about there, this prediction agent service is probably the best example, but I would love to kind of tell you about a few more. So just to recap that, basically the prediction agent service allows any user, or will soon actually, currently the only way to directly request predictions is through our our DAO app called Contribute. But further down the line, so obviously we'll open it up to more and more applications and use cases. A couple of the other systems which are either like technically co-owned or will be co-owned are one, AI Mex. And so this is actually an AI marketplace which agents can use to consume different tools. So maybe I can actually just pull that up. We have a no, that's not working. Not so. Sorry. That's okay. Let me just walk through it. Basically, AI Mex provides a marketplace to AI agents in order to allow them to consume different tools. Be they, they can consume tools like ChatGPT directly on chain. They can consume stability. They can consume various other tools, like specifically around making predictions. During the hackathon, we received a lot of new AI tools that are now a part of that. So that's one example, and actually I think one of the most powerful and one of the ones which will kind of grow and be around for the longest. Governator is another one. So this is something which we put together earlier in the year, and Governator is essentially an AI agent which is able to make you're able to delegate tokens to in order for it to make decisions about DAO proposals on your behalf. So actually today you can just load that up. You can make you can ask it to, you can basically delegate it in order to make so I need to connect my wallet. Anyway, you can check this out. This is all on the Olas site. And then finally, Olas Contribute, which is our kind of DAO tool, which uses AI, co-owned AI, owned by the DAO, in order to make assessments about how much impact people have had within the DAO, and we'll obviously have lots more. Also, you can actually kind of directly request predictions through that app as well.
Awesome. We do have a couple more questions that I want to get in. So Eve asks, can you talk more about how consensus verification works? How do you prove a certain agent service was inferenced?
So okay, so let's go back up to this. So currently there are multiple kind of layers to how we build kind of a robust sort of execution on behalf of these agents, or like the services. So yes, each of these agents needs to come to consensus before basically taking any action on chain. It's also possible to define via the protocol both incentive and slashing dynamics, which obviously improve the sort of the robustness and the adherence to the desired kind of action of the service. They all are signers on a multi-sig, and so they take action on chain via a multi-sig like on EVM chains. That's safe, and that's why. Sorry to maybe put a little bit more color on the question you asked earlier, Alejandro. That's why safe. That's why there are so many safe transactions, because every time one of these services or an agent implemented by one of these services is taking action on chain, then they're doing it via a safe. So in terms of inference, I think we're largely talking about the actual models and kind of like verifying models. We have some work and some research going into that currently. That's not built into the services today, and also just kind of verifiability of the computations that these agents are doing. We can see a path to that using tools like these emerging ZK tools, and it's a research area of interest for us. But we have pragmatically taken an optimistic approach at the beginning, and that served us fine so far.
Great answer. One last question before we conclude. CC Playlists ask, Oak, do you believe that Autonomous will be a tool for society to ensure they have a voice in the new agent labor workforce that proposes to replace their labor?
I feel you've answered both asked and answered the question there. Yeah, I mean, like, so, I think there are two kind of visions emerging of how the AI agent economy kind of plays out. One is where AI agents kind of emerge in a very kind of tightly controlled sandbox by the likes of OpenAI, and I'm sure they'll have, and I went into the issues of what we see there, like, the real issue, in my opinion, is precisely what you're asking about, is that the means to voice an opinion and govern those systems is very, very weak. It's like, realistically, like, sort of pragmatically, how does anybody influence the sort of corporate governance of OpenAI or whatever company emerges here? So that's one vision. The alternative vision, and the one that we're pushing, is that these AI agents are registered on chain, owned on chain, and essentially running on entirely open source software. The means of kind of configuring, controlling, even the ability to turn them on and off, which ultimately is one of the most important questions in AI safety, I think, is much more direct. If you have a wallet and you want to turn off a particular AI agent, and you have you have signing rights, then you can turn it off. So that's what I think is one of the most important questions. I mean, I think more broadly, the open model has a lot of potential to just raw potential in terms of, like, the upper ceiling may be much higher in terms of kind of the sophistication, precisely because as AI agents are able to interact with one another, they have a much more permissionless set of tools, et cetera, which is uniquely possible on chain. Then the types of services and the capabilities that they're able to evolve will be much more sophisticated. I don't know. That's maybe somewhat speculative, but that's certainly what I and our team at Valory and our community believes.
Yes, certainly it's going to be a interesting area to watch and see evolve. But unfortunately, that brings us to time here. But just before everybody leaves, I want to present you with your QR code to scan to claim your NFT for being an attendee here today. So what you want to do is scan this code with your regular QR code scanner, fill out the form, and you will be airdropped a NFT for being an attendee here on DevNTell within the next couple of days. And you'll have an hour and a half to complete that before the form closes. So again, take out your regular QR code scanner, scan this code, and you'll have an hour and a half to claim your NFT for being an attendee today. And with that, Oak, I want to thank you so much for coming on. This was a very interesting talk. I'm really fascinated to see how AI and Web3 blockchain continue to kind of like merge together to form these very interesting use cases that you mentioned. And thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you, Nob. Thank you so much for having me, and it was great to be able to come here and present. And thank you to the audience.
Awesome. And I guess just before we leave, what's the best way for folks to follow up with you or learn more about Valory if they're interested?
Yeah. So what I'd say is, so there's the link which you thank you very much for sharing at the top to the for you to run your own AI agent. So I strongly recommend everybody here give that a shot and give us feedback on how it goes. And then other than that, I would say Olas.network is a great starting point, or you can follow us at Autonomous on Twitter.
Awesome. And yes, all of those resources will be shared on the description of the YouTube video, so everybody can go follow up if they're interested. And with that, I just want to wish everybody a very happy Friday, happy weekend, and we'll see you back here on DevNTell next week. All right, gang.
Thanks so much.
Cheers.
Bye.